gathered, even from afar. It's weird. Get started just so we can honor people's time. Let's try to get going with this. So, my name is Laura Ocasio. I'm representing Surfrider Foundation, among many other hats that I wear in the community. School teacher. I'm really predominantly here because I love Kilkaha, I love the ocean, and I fundamentally see that the health of our community is inherently tied to the health of our environment and vice versa. And so that's the work we do as volunteers for Surfrider and whatever other things in the community that we do. Thank you for showing up. It's valuable. Everyone's time, especially on a weekday with families, is really valuable. Just a couple of things. I wanted to say mahalo for extending the space to us to meet, because that's one factor in getting together is where do we meet, especially if it's raining. So
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you very much. It's huge, and especially to meet in Kilkaha, it actually feels richer on that level as well, because it's a big part in my. And Auntie Terry, thank you for just continuing to call it together and helping to organize and bring the players in that need to be here. And just grateful for that. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, and also please sign up if you haven't, just so we have contact information. If things need to be followed through with or other information disseminated, it's easy for us to continue to keep our ongoing list.
My name is Demian. I'm also a friend of Laura and Nami, and I'm part of the local Surfrider chapter. And same thing, I'd like to thank you guys for the space and Auntie Terry for mobilizing everybody. And we're really excited. Some of you probably already kind of have an idea of what Surfrider is or kind of what it stands for. It is a nonprofit organization mostly based on environmentalism with specific interests on protecting our coastlines. Some of the bigger programs that some of the other local chapters. So we have the chapter here in Hilo. There's a chapter in Kona. And we also have a chapter on each of the islands. So some of the bigger programs, you may have seen some of the stuff in Hilo, like ocean-friendly restaurants, Blue Water Task Force, and actually I know that's the main reason today we're talking about water quality. So I would say like our goal today with the chapter is just to connect with you guys in the community and continue pushing this ball forward to get this project off the ground. One of the main things we need is funding, volunteer, and just the organization of it. So up until this point with the local chapter, we have just kind of dabbled a little bit in some local cleanups, participating in some of the legislation stuff like the Bill 13 for styrofoam and stuff. But here with this project, what's that? And Hawaii Wildlife Fund too, yeah. But this project is really building a lot of momentum and a lot of interest, so it's really exciting because we want to basically expand this program with the volunteers and the community, and create a central database of water quality testing, and basically help build the chapter. The chapter is completely a volunteer organization. So that's actually one of the things, while we're here at this meeting, I would like to encourage everybody to please sign in, if you haven't already, to the sign-in sheets. We're looking for people who want to help with this project, as most of you probably already know. Volunteers, we have UH involved, Kilkaha Action Network, and Terry and her support group. So we really want to just all come together and build this team, and we could really use as much help as possible, not only on the ground as in volunteering, but also on the board. So one of our biggest pushes as a chapter is to have enough people on the board to help run these things. And if there's any of you who feel or know of anybody that you think would be a good fit for somebody who wants to take on a little bit more serious role than say a volunteer who just shows up here and there to clean up, actually help us with some administrative stuff and some of these things, we would really welcome like that. At this point, it's just Laura, myself, and Nami that are on Surfrider, and we're collaborating now with the community. So we're hoping that we can get some traction on this issue and get enough people involved to kind of take this off. I know water quality. I'm sure Terry's going to share a little bit about that, but it's a big issue for us in Hilo, and I think this is a really good opportunity for us to come together as a community and work on these issues. I hate to plug it in at a certain point. Like I said, the funding for this project is going to be completely on volunteer and fundraisers that we're going to do. We've actually received partial funding already through some of the sister chapters in Surfrider. So we're actually pretty close to being able to monetarily launch this project. And then once we build the infrastructure of the people involved and the volunteers and UH and how that's going to come together, we'd really like to see this grow. So one of the ways that people can help out is by becoming involved. And like I said, becoming a member on the board. But we also have a space for people to either give donations or become a member of a Surfrider chapter. At this point, we have a Beach in a Bag, which is not a normal membership. It's $35. The regular membership for Surfrider is $25 a year, and that goes to helping some of the administrative costs. And see, this is where it really helps to have an organization like Surfrider that all of us can tap into, is because they, as an organization, have a huge administrative, basically, team. There's lawyers. I mean, there's really, the sky's the limit on this. It's up to us to basically put the pieces together and represent ourselves at that chapter. So, if any of you guys are feeling inclined to that, we do have these hats and a reusable Chico bag that come with that membership. The beauty of now, as prior to some of our previous cleanups and stuff that we're going, we actually have this as our main mission right now. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about $10 or $12 per sample. So on a $25 membership, you're basically actively paying for 2 samples. So as a chapter, we want to make that transparent to the community. We want to celebrate and give thanks to the people that are helping, and also get like local businesses and education groups involved, and make it so that we can reward ourselves and those people who give to this cause. I think our budget was $2,500, right?
We can talk about the budget.
So anyway, just to kind of like put a little end on that, it really depends on you guys and the community, because right now there's just the 3 of us, Auntie Terry, a couple, we're all here, right? We're all here to do this together. I feel like Surfrider is a really good implementation of our energy because they have the backing. So it is a 501c3, we have the legal backing, we have all the support. If we collect data and do it through the Blue Water Task Force that Laura's going to talk about in a little bit, this is information that we can share, UH can use it, the community can use it, and ultimately it's going to help us build healthier coastlines, healthier waters, and help mitigate some of these water quality issues. So I think, Nami, you want to say something?
Yes. My name is Nami. Hi, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for signing up to. Yes.
Before we start, can we identify just around the room who we all are?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
You can start.
Okay. Brief. So I'm one of 3 current board members. And like Demian said, we're looking for more board members. Maybe there'll be, I think Gary will talk more about that. It's not my place to talk about that right now, I guess. But we're looking for more members. And this is a very exciting progress to be had for not only for the community, but also for the movement and all the nonprofits surrounding it. Everybody wants this, and the Hilo Bay really needs more testing, and this is the first step. And the group of people who are here tonight are all very special and inspirational people. I look forward to getting to know you, and Laura is going to talk more about the water quality itself, our program with the Surfrider Foundation. It's a nationwide program we have with the Surfriders, and enterocot testing is what we do. We test for the bacteria indicator test, and that's the only thing we do right now with that program. And there's no, there's no plans of doing other tests. So she'll go over it, but basically, I'm support for the project for anything that might need support, like administrative support. Laura's kind of lead, and Vivian is our chapter chair, Hilo chapter chair, so he's overall supporting everything and overseeing everything. And Auntie Terry's an integral part. She's, her cause is why this started and why this is gaining so much attention. And we'll probably have a lot of press in the coming, once we start doing the testing, we'll have a lot of coverage. Yeah. And everybody will be interested. We need to do the fundraising, and this is, another important part of this meeting is to talk about fundraising and the program itself. But so my main thing with the Surfrider Foundation is called Ocean Friendly Restaurants and Ocean Friendly Gardens, because I'm kind of a farmer, permaculturalist, Korean natural farmer, and we have in Oahu, where I used to live for 8 years, a program called Ocean Friendly Gardens with the Surfrider in the PermaBlitz group put together. Do anybody know PermaBlitz? Awesome. Yeah, Matt Lynch. Yeah. Yes. So those guys started it, but you do 3 blitzes and you get your garden blitzed, which means your unsustainable lawn garden could be turned into runoff-free food, edible garden, and you're not, you're not adding more to the problem of, runoff and ocean health, coral, all kinds of things that are going on. That I'm kind of nervous to talk. Introduce everybody. Yeah, we'll go to Terry and everybody.
Please explain what organization you're representing, and if not, just where you live and your concern. I hope you don't mind, because this is important to know who's actually at your table. It's totally amazing.
And then they told me to talk about Ocean Friendly Restaurants program, so please come back to me after everybody's done. Thank you.
So my name is Chun. Oh, sorry. Is it yours?
No,
my name is Cherie, or Chun Lee is my nickname, and I'm from Kona. And talking about the ocean-friendly restaurants, the styrofoam bill has been trying to go 6 or 7 times. So we have the final reading on Wednesday the 20th. So if everybody could send in testimonies, it'll happen this year. We have good council members. And then I know Auntie Terry's been doing a lot for the water quality in Hilo, and she got it in front of the city council, and she went to the state legislature. So in Kona, a lot of our beaches have been closed for high bacteria counts, and it's making a lot of the kids sick. So I came to learn about testing and that kind of stuff.
Hi, my name is Nancy Cook-Lauer. I'm a reporter with West Hawaii Today and the Tribune Herald. I'm not here in reporter mode. I'm sort of in an awkward position because I can't join because I cover you guys. I write the styrofoam bills. I write those stories. So I can't really join the groups. It's sort of one of the downsides to being a reporter. I live in a condo overlooking Mauna Kea, and I am very concerned about water quality. I'm an avid snorkeler, and I am constantly getting swimmer's itch, infections, this and that, usually after swimming, and it would be nice to know, instead of 3 weeks later, what the quality of the water was when I went out to snorkel, instead of having to wait until then I'll say, oh my, no wonder I was sick, no wonder I got this infection. So, but anyway, I would love to volunteer on cleanups and things like that. Can't be a board member, can't be a member, even though that's really a cold bag.
It's okay, Nancy, you're here listening to our concerns.
Yes, and they're my concerns too, and yes, and it'll, they'll work their ways into stories at some point. I did some stories on beach monitoring, and so, but that's me.
Money's only part of it,
Yeah.
small part.
Terry Napiahi with Kilkaha Action Network. I'm grateful that Marie has allowed us the facility. I wanted it here only because this was the old raw sewage treatment plant that was put into our community years ago, and we had no say about county putting it here. So all of this, our gathering has a lot to do with my bringing forward the impacts that our community has seen within the years, and we want something done. And if you didn't know this, the outfall is maybe a few feet away from here out in the ocean. And it's been here ever since. We've had cracked pipes for a very long time. And we finally this year got the county to fix it. And so it was put in here in the early 70s when I was a young kid. So you can see how long that was. Yeah. But we're here today, and I'm grateful that you are all here today to make a difference. Thank you. Thank you for that invitation.
I am Erica Perez. I'm the program manager for a nonprofit called Coral Reef Alliance. We work primarily over in Fuoco on the other side of the island, and a big project that we're focusing right now is the Clean Water for Reefs Fuoco project, which specifically deals with cesspools along the shoreline and the impacts to not only people but then the reef ecology. And we're working with that community to hopefully transition to better technology. And I have met with, I guess, the regional head. I don't know what Stuart is, but with Surfrider, and we got to talking just about how similar kind of the goals, some similar goals of what we were doing, and I just thought that I would come and
Hi, I'm Priscilla. I'm just a mom that's here because I care, and in whatever way I can support, I'm all about it. And this is my daughter, Mayumi. And Bagel.
I'm Maria Hawes. You probably know this is the Pacific Aquaculture and Coastal Resources Center. So water quality is a big issue for us on all different levels. And I want to thank Auntie Terry for putting this all together and bringing you here. You're always welcome to meet here. Thank you. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Please help yourself to the tea and the snacks. And the restroom is right inside the front door. So I also want to thank Rhiannon for bringing Waterkeeper here and Surfrider team and everybody else. So thank you so much.
Aloha, I'm Kat Jonah. I try to get involved in the local issues whenever I can for environment, for people, for us, for animals. So thank you everyone for being here.
Good evening. My name is Marcellus Thomas. I'm a student at UH, and I'm also a student worker here at PACRAD. Originally, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, so the water quality there is really bad. And hearing Auntie Terry in the meeting prior to this one talk about how the community is so involved, I kind of wanted to come learn to see how I can kind of push my community back home to get involved to care about the water, because we have such poor water quality from all kinds of things. So that's kind of why I chose to come to this one as well.
My name is Lakia. I'm here on behalf of the Core Kiali project. Also here with Muga Kepa over there with the Beneficiary Trust Council, doing a lot of work trying to organize homestead communities, and also do a lot of deforestation and restoration work, trying to create mechanisms for the community to manage their own resources all on the air. And so I envision, trying to help connect the dots with Kola, with Mauna Kea, with different areas that have water issues that would definitely use the support and help.
My name's Jeff Shaw, and I'm mainly here to learn, but also I'm somewhat concerned about the issues in the area where I live, where we have the catchment systems and, you know, with the rat lung thing and stuff like that, whether there's any connection and whether there's any will, you know, to figure out some way so that people can know that their water is safe instead of just hoping, you know. And also, you know, once this testing thing goes, it'd be nice to, if I go to Hayana Beach, you know, it's a 2.5 mile hike that they make me go because it's owned by, you know, an old sugar plantation guy that doesn't let people go to his property. And if I go there, I want to feel like I'm pretty safe going there after going on a hike like that.
Aloha, my name is Rihanna Chandler Young. I live on Oahu. I was born in Honolulu. I went to school at Manoa. I graduated from Richardson School of Law with a certificate in Native Hawaiian Rights Law and Environmental Law. And I am a water law person. I passed the bar earlier this year, so I don't ever like to call myself a lawyer or an attorney. I don't like lawyers or attorneys. I just like water and the planet, and my calling is to help Malama as much as I can. I work for a Waterkeeper Alliance. It's a international association of advocates for clean water, fishable, swimmable, drinkable water in 325 locations in 35 countries around the world. And we opened the first Waterkeeper in Hawaii on Oahu, and so I'm the Oahu Waterkeeper. Waterkeepers and Surfriders are friends all around the nation, working together on projects to help water quality. My parents and grandparents and Ohana lives here in Hilo. My niece is 4 months old, and I want her to be able to swim in the water. So whatever I can do to help, I'm here to help. Mahalo with everyone.
Well, my name is Joe Peppa. So like I just explained that we do have a nonprofit that works with our communities. Part of the Beneficiary Trust Council, I'm the chair, the interim chair, and we as a Beneficiary Trust Council, we have to address the national crisis, whether it's water crisis, incarceration, education, houselessness, food. We just try to find remedies for these issues. So we always do these meetings because we are in the homestead right now. That's our main concern because the beneficiaries have been on the bottom of the list for a lot of catastrophes around here, whether it's sewage plants or oil sitting along the shores. We're just here to support the best way that can, and I'm just happy to see all of you guys here together gathered and ready to fulfill a project like this that is way overdue, and we're ready for it.
I know I talked about Surfrider, but I just want to share a little bit about who I really am. My name is Demian. My partner is Stacy. She works with Hawaii Wildlife Fund. They do a lot of conservation in the Ka'au district. We have a 3.5-year-old son. I'm really passionate about the water. At one time in my life, I surfed 2 times a day, 4 times a week, all up and down this coast on a weekly. And the ocean has always been a really strong, respectable force to me. And you know, growing up, kind of as a conservationist, just you always see these times where you like feel helpless that something's happening out there with pollution or these corporations and stuff, and there's always this sense of helplessness, like, oh, what are you going to do about it? And I became involved in Surfrider because I saw that as an opportunity to unify our like thinking and our efforts and our energy, because we actually can make a difference. And with the momentum that we got on this project, I mean, we can all actively together, you know, take part in this change and actively make a huge difference. And that to me just really motivates me. And having a 3-year-old that swims in these waters multiple times a week, it's very concerning to me. And so that's my reason for personally wanting to become involved in something like this.
So we missed one person, huh?
Oh, okay, well, I spoke earlier, but I'm happy to
Okay.
say again, my name's Laura Ocasio, I live in Hilo, and I raised 2 beautiful boys, and my husband is also in Hilo here. Let's see, like I said before, the health of the community is integrally related to the health of the environment, and vice versa. And even though I also have like personal stake in it for recreational uses, I don't want to get sick when I swim, which I know we all care about. I would like to just speak to also the fact that this environmental crisis is really huge, and I can see why it happens for corporations, corporate greed, etc. And I answered the call to go to Auntie Terry's meeting when she had set it up with all these agencies that came, Department of Health, the mayor, EPA, all of these things, because I saw it online, and I thought to myself, this is an excellent opportunity to take my boys and educate them about our civic duty, or our duty as people and in the community, but also for them to understand like that these agencies are supposed to follow certain guidelines and rules, and even so, if those guidelines and rules may not even be set up to benefit the people. And so to just kind of like have conversations with them and hear what they had to say, and what Auntie Terry and the community, the questions that the community was bringing up, which are all extremely valid and super heavy loaded. And so being, you know, kind of hanging out with Surfrider Foundation and understanding how they operate in terms of being a response to community issues like this, I thought this is a perfect opportunity to try to collaborate and utilize the resources that and implement this Blue Water Task Force, which I'm also learning about, but to start testing our waters so that, just like Auntie Terry had said at the other meeting, is so that we have our own data. Because when the spill happened in Hilo Bay, and my kids personally, they were going paddling, I don't know if it was clean. So it's really nice, you know, in order to really make some headway on these legislative issues or put pressure on, and even to just educate ourselves, I feel like we need to see the data. And why can't we collect the data? Okay, well, we can. So how do we do that? So starting to dive into how does Surfrider do Blue Water Task Force. We heard about it when we were at the conference a year and a half ago on Oahu, and some folks from the Kauai chapter, Dr. Bird, had given us information and said, anytime you guys want to get a program started, they'll support us, they'll back us, and that's all coming to fruition. Auntie Terry had been talking to him for years as well, so it's kind of like, it's just all melding. I think I'm going on a tangent, call mine, but really just want to start putting the pieces together as, okay, what's the next step? We continue to meet, right? And of course with the collaborative, the generous offer to University of Hawaii, to offer their lab, because if we do the testing, we need to have a lab. And then also to create that opportunity for the students that are in the leadership program to learn. Sorry. No, all good.
I'll never take up. Okay.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to pull the water quality website, but the internet is not working with my streaming device.
I have some
But anyway, before we go to talk about the main issue that Laura will cover, and can we please go over this ocean-friendly restaurants program?
Can I move it over?
Yeah, hold on. Dear.
Maybe we can have her introduce herself?
Sure,
We will all introduce ourselves. While we're waiting.
Hi, I'm Tracy Wigner. I'm a faculty at UH Hilo.
Oh, Tracy.
And I was just about, that's what I was just actually saying when you walked in was mahalo for the collaboration,
thank you.
because that's huge.
I work on water quality. I've worked in Hilo Bay. I've worked over at Puako, so I've worked on different parts of the island, and I've been studying sewage pollution.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for helping with the program, and your lab is invaluable to this program, and thank you for doing it pro bono. You're awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay, so, real quick, Ocean Friendly Restaurants program was started a couple years ago, and it's not only a statewide program, but a nationwide program by the Surfrider Foundation and a lot of different nonprofits like Kokua Foundation and a lot of similar-minded, like-minded nonprofits. And we go to restaurants that are doing really well and not using styrofoam or plastic much. We hate straws. We have a rule about no straws unless people ask for it. So we sit down with the restaurant owners and have them sign a contract, and they get free social media advertisement, and they also get listed on our website, and they also get listed on the magazine publications. And we have very many restaurants here in Hilo, like Conscious Cultures, and Kona Brewing Company on the Kona side is a big one. They're one of the major sponsors, and they passed, so they're in the program. And this is intended to go one step beyond just going to the city council hearings and testifying. This is like attacking the same issue that we do beach cleanups for from the source. Yeah. So people who have styrofoam right now, once this bill passes, they're not going to be able to use them. But already a lot of good restaurants are gaining good recognition and publicity from being in this program. And it's actually a pretty successful program, and everybody wants to be in this, and they get a window sticker. And if they pass every single category, they get a platinum sticker. So a lot of restaurants are joining, and now is like the best time to do it because it's free right now to get this good advertisement. So we have categories. One's no polystyrene. 2, proper recycling practices are followed. 3, only reliable tableware is used for on-site dining. And 4, no plastic bags offered. That's the mandatory ones. And we also have 6 other optional ones. And then we have over 2,000 this year certified by this program. So that was my little spiel about the Ocean Friendly Restaurants program. If you want to learn anything about it, please see me after or join. If you know restaurant owners who kind of qualify, they only need to change one thing, or they already qualified, we'll come and give them stickers and do a social media photograph. Please let me know. And if you want to be one of those people and have good relationship with restaurant people, please join us. Yes.
So this program, the Ocean Friendly Restaurants, it's kind of one of the bigger programs that are part of Surfrider. The other one that Laura's going to talk about, which obviously is the main reason why we're here, is for the Blue Water Task Force water quality. But efforts like this kind of go hand in hand with like the main mission of Surfrider. So Ocean Friendly, what's really cool about that is it's going to your local favorite eatery and telling them, hey, you need to cut out these products that are single-use plastics and polystyrene, and you're going to get rewarded for that. So it's creating a culture of recognition to the companies and the businesses that are doing these practices. Just as an example, we got this All Good brand, right? Sunscreen. So a lot of you guys have heard about, there's a lot of ingredients in sunscreen that there's now some legislation in the works because we know it's damaging our reefs. This All Good brand, for example, is just another example. They've actually given us a few of their products just to try out on Surfrider. But it kind of just goes hand in hand with like the basic model of Surfrider, which is to protect the ocean and the environment. So we got legislation on one hand, and then we're taking something like what Terry is starting here, getting with this Blue Water Task Force and getting that off the ground. That's a big spearhead. But the basic kind of notion that we're trying to do is like create awareness about it. So you can go in Hilo. What I think Moon and Turtle is certified. The Park Deli Cafe is certified. Love by the Sun is certified.
Yeah,
Sweet Cane Cafe is certified. So it's kind of like a
Even Wiki Fresh is
right.
certified.
So like the whole point of that is to even if legislation is taking its time and it's going through the works of government, and that sometimes takes months and years, we as the people, as a community, can come together and celebrate each other in the restaurants and the businesses. So it's just kind of a great way to kind of give back to the community and like empower ourselves, right? Because if we put pressure on these local businesses, they're going to look at this and be like, hey, there's no reason not to make this switch and incentivize that, basically.
So Blue Water Task Force, my understanding, which like I said, I'm just learning about it from the ground up, based on a need to start testing our waters, or not start testing, but at least to have it available by the community and with the community involvement doing the testing. I guess I'm learning as along. What we're trying to do is get committed volunteers. We're going to commit to a site. I know that Auntie Terry, Dr. Winder, and Matt, you folks have already come up with concise locations that maybe you can speak to that too, or Doctor, you can speak to that. And get a commitment from the community and our volunteers so that we can call Dr. Berg over. He can give us the training, and that we can learn the quality assurance protocol so that our data has what it takes to withstand specifications so that we can present it to the Department of Health and it won't be disputed because it's following certain protocol. And that's a big reason. That's pretty much fundamentally, I think, the biggest goal is to be able to say, no, our data is real because we're doing it with these exact same protocols. And from my understanding, Dr. Berg has graciously offered, and the Hawaii chapter is going to fly him over and do a training. So we just have to commit. And I did read just yesterday that it's just a few hours of training, and then there'll be different conversations and trainings that happen within the lab that would be separate or even in connection with. So you could probably specify some more of these details. But that the lab would be doing the testing, and then there's protocols from getting it from the site to that. So it's volunteer run, water testing. Okay, it's an education and advocacy program. So that's bottom line is that's what we're collecting it for, and then the data can be used for whatever the community advocates based on our findings. Yeah. I want to know, like, first of all, too, if anyone has questions, because details, additional details, please.
Can I give a basic understanding, and
Yeah.
then I'll have Tracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
How far we've taken this issue. Kyoka, as you know, has other facilities that we're concerned about, and that impact not only our ocean, but also the air quality, and also what goes into our land, and possibly our water aquifer. So these issues were brought up in our community. We've identified indicators that could be, indicators meaning we've identified facilities that we know emit pollution that are required by EPA to keep their emissions within the standards of federal guidelines and thresholds. So, but they're also regulated by certain agencies of our government, and the Department of Health, as well as EPA, have that responsibility to checks and balances. These facilities that do emit harmful toxins or chemicals, and they have to stay within a certain threshold. We have been finding, according to their own records, and this is what we did first at Kilkaha, was to find a system that could help us identify their data that is public data, and in order for us to claim that it has a relationship, these toxins have a relationship with what we're suspecting is causing some of the health problems that we have here in our community, we've had to start with baseline data. And so I chose a environmental justice system called ground truthing, which has an outline as to how we can start this data collection. So we've given the county council a presentation a month ago with our data and basically our findings. Findings meaning we've managed to have a student from the Johns Hopkins Medical School of Public Health participate with their expertise of gathering spatial files of availability for government and what's out there publicly, putting together our concerns on mapping and identifying all of these facilities. So it is a large issue, yes we know, but it's, we're going to be here the rest of our lives, like our young are saying, and stepping up, saying that it's 7 generations that will be impacted by this issue if we don't take care of it now. And you are in a Hawaiian Homes community where majority of the people that have received land here are 50% Hawaiian or more. Probably one of the purest of Hawaiians that you have left here in the state of Hawaii. And ironically, these facilities are either on their land or near it. So these are the concerns that we're raising, and we're not making up the data that we've collected. We have enough data to identify that there has been violations, and violations in the Clean Water Act by this particular facility that's been now moved to the opposite side of Kilkaha, our Hawaiian Homes, and that they've just finally fixed by EPA administrative order the cracks that were cracked in this ocean where our children swim right outside here, very busy recreational swim hole, for decades have had to endure. And so you can see that this is just one of our problems, and we're grateful because Tracy Weidner, did I see your last name right?
That's right.
Did a fabulous job of doing some work and identifying other bacteria that is in our waters. So which is a big, huge concern for our families, because what is being tested now throughout the nation, by EPA standards, is the testing for enterococci or Clostridium, which is fecal matter. We presently do not have any testing done for other bacteria in our waters. So that is one of our concerns. Keaukaha is taking it to legislation. We would like it to take it to the federal level of government so that they can change their policies to identify, to at least acknowledge that there are other issues that we community members have to deal with and would like you to also take a look at. So Dr. Tracy Riegner did some studies that were important because we have had multiple complaints from our families saying they no longer have their children swimming in our community waters because they have had some problems with illnesses, went to the doctor, got a diagnosis and said they either had staph, MRSA, and leptospirosis. So from this issue, this is where we're at, and I am going to turn it over to Tracy so that she can give a little information about her findings.
Well, I guess just a little background. Let's see. So, Hilo is not unique in this sense. The whole state is suffering from sewage problems. On our island, it's more rural sewage issue problems, where most of the houses have cesspools. In this community, it's a little bit different because there is a sewage treatment plant. A portion of the community is connected, but there are a lot of houses that were grandfathered in that have cesspools. The water table is also very close to the surface of the ground, so any infrastructure from either the homes, like a cesspool or a septic tank, or even maybe the infrastructure from the sewage treatment plant is probably in water, because as soon as you dig, you'll hit water. That's definitely the case over in West Hawaii and Pu'uko as well. I know that they've done, what we've primarily been focusing in Hilo on the inside of the break wall, looking at how the water quality changes with big storms. We've looked for different kinds of bacteria. We've done the ones that EPA and Department of Health regulate, like enterococci and Clostridium. We've also started to look at some other pathogens which aren't regulated, so there's no standards associated with it. We've started to look at Staphylococcus and MRSA, which is a strain of staph that's antibiotic resistant. In relationship to that project, we looked at it relative to weather patterns. We've been trying to collect community information to get, see where people think they may have gotten infections, what type of activities they thought it was associated with. Are they a high water user, or they never go to the beach at all? Are they men, are they women? Those kinds of things. We've been looking at water and sand as well to see if there's different distributions. We've done a little bit of work outside of the break wall along Keaukaha, but nothing concentrated yet. Just a few summer internship projects where we've tried to look at Enterococcus and Clostridium. We have another tool we use, which is to collect limu, and we look at the nitrogen within the tissue, and that can give you an idea of where it comes from, because nitrogen from sewage is very different than nitrogen that comes from, say, fertilizers, so you can distinguish them. So we've started to try to get a baseline along the Keaukaha coast to see if we can identify hot spots where there may be sewage pollution problems. But like I said before, we've really just only begun. We don't have an extensive data set. Department of Health does have regular stations they go to measure. They just measure for Enterococcus. One thing to keep in mind is they are very understaffed. They have one guy for the whole island, so they don't go to a lot of the stations many times. I don't know how he divides his time. I don't know if it's like half a month he's in Hilo, half the month he's in Kona. But obviously, there's only so much one person can do. So we've been trying to fill in the gaps, and I know that the Blue Water Task Force is geared just towards that, to help Community members gather that information to help answer the questions or address the concerns that they have. So we have some of the tools at UH Hilo that can be used. I've trained students how to use it in classes as well as during research projects. I've talked to Dr. Carlberg on the phone, so I think it shouldn't take too much time to train people. And they'll be training with how to collect water samples. There is a time limit for when you collect it to when it has to be processed in the lab and in the incubator, so it's 6 hours. So there is some time coordination. You can't just go out in the morning and then after work drop it off, because the lab has to be open. So there will be some amount of coordination involved in trying to get this organized. And then in the lab, the people who would be processing the samples will need to be biosafety trained according to the university regulations. So understanding how to process things, to keep them sterile, also to make sure that they don't get sick or they don't make other people sick in the lab, and then how to take care of the waste once we're done. And then I'm also happy to help train the students in how to interpret the data and then share it back to the community so they can keep it on their records and then do community presentations.
Is that one thing that they test for? Is that a reliable indicator in any way?
Well, that's an interesting question. So Enterococcus, which is the bacteria they use for marine recreational waters, can be found naturally occurring in tropical soils. They found it in Hawaii and Guam, Florida. So when you see high concentrations of it, it might not be from sewage. So for example, like inside the breakwater in Hilo Bay, we see it spike after big storm events. It might not be because of sewage, it could just be from soil runoff during the storms. So they have, there are other more sophisticated tools. They have other bacteria. One is called Bacteroides. It's the bacteria, it's the most abundant one in your gut. And they have molecular markers that can distinguish the source. So you can see if that bacteria came from a human versus a dog, horse, cow, pig, birds. I want to have all different ones. But that's not something Department of Health does because it is a lot more sophisticated, but there are EPA approved methods. We work with collaborators at UH Manoa to process those kinds of samples. So Enterococcus is a good first cut. That's what EPA and Department of Health regulate. The Clostridium is a little more technical too because you have to use plates, and so you have to know how to make the media. The Enterococcus, the method that Dr. Carlberg uses as well as Department of Health, is pretty easy. I like to say that a monkey could almost do it. I mean, it's very easy to train undergraduates to do it. You don't need high level technical skills, whereas the Clostridium is a lot harder and time consuming.
I'm going to share one thing she said about the testing in the water quality and the sand. And I went to an environmental committee meeting in Kona, and they spoke very highly of your brochure that you did, and we're very grateful. But one of the things they said that the amount of bacteria in the sand is 2 or 3 times more than what they find in the water.
And it's hard to do, so, I mean, this becomes more of a technical thing. It's hard to do a direct comparison because the units are different. So when you're looking at concentrations in water, it's per volume, so like how many milliliters. In sand, it's per grams, and they're not the same things, they're apples and oranges. So it's a little bit harder to do a direct comparison. But we do see the bacteria in the sand as well.
And they're saying that's where all the kids play.
It's, trying to link what you measure in the environment to health effects is a whole different kind of study. I'm not trained to do that kinds of stuff. That's people who are like in public health, where you can start to get to the causation. My skill set's really to help try to document the presence, which is like the first step in getting towards the question is it there and is it making us sick?
Real quick. one of the things that I looked at to see if we could get some help from Earth Justice regarding, you know, helping us to have the violations that have been done, you know, on the east side with this outfall, and also with the other breaks that we've had, you know, on Wailuku, the other outfalls that we have up on Hamakua, and how often they have, you know, maybe. So they took a look at the frequency of all these pipes that are fatigued, old, and cracked, and but their focus was on the Clean Water Act because it is the law. And one of the things that they did see after they were repairing and doing what they're supposed to was the nitrate, that the high levels of nitrate, you know, which is not something that they're required to check.
And they're not, my understanding is that the plants here are not set up to remove it either.
So that is one thing that I'm taking to legislation and to also to bring up is that the contribution to what's, you know, we have multiple sources of, you know, things that could contribute to the high nitrate rates that allow other bacteria probably to grow in certain areas. So these are some of the things that we're looking at legislatively to be able to change policy so that, you know, these things can be brought up for better protection of our people that are actually participating, you know, in our water. And so this is what we're doing here is gathering ground data so that we can move forward as such. And I'm so glad because we got other people that are connecting with us nationwide, internationally, that can put pressure on the idea of water is life, you know, for all of us in every level. So I appreciate it. So if you have any more questions, I'd like you to.
I had just had a question for you actually,
Okay.
just on what you said, is that, are you pushing for like a call to action and legislation to change EPA to include nutrients as a parameter?
Yes.
That is what you're working towards?
One.
To get the
One of
plant to
those
do
things.
nutrient removal?
Yes, to at least have some initiative to look at other things that are
outside of
enterococcus, because that is nationwide the only thing they're looking at right now. So go ahead and you guys are the experts, you're scientists, but
we do have a great deal of overlap. I mean, it was exciting, I think, after even last time and the last meeting that we had, last month, I think, or whatever. But we also work really closely with the UH group and the Marine Science Division over at UH as well as TNC. And they, as Tracy was saying, it's a different component in that you folks are dealing more with a municipality that isn't operating at a capacity that basically is healthy for the community, to where Puako is really what they're being impacted by is specifically with the amount of cesspools and septic tanks that are along the shoreline, because they equally have the same impact of like high water table, not a lot of room to do construction in. I think that there is a lot to say with numbers, and I think that there are many communities that face the same issue. And if I know that we all are right now working independently, but to maybe like pull our resources together and not specify wastewater from a municipality or a cesspool or a septic tank, but just say, you know, really statewide, even in Oahu, you know, you see in the news, we have across our state a major wastewater issue. That it's unfortunate to say that the communities of these islands, all the way from Kauai, Maui, you have EPA. Here, you folks are working with EPA for Keaupaha. You know, over in Puako. I mean, it's the communities that are coming together and saying, these are our waters, this is where we feed our family, this is where we play with our kids, this is where we, you know, these are our lives. And I think that it's just, a lot could be done, I think, by partnering and maybe talking about different synergies that we have within our programs to try to make a more vocal stance when it comes to legislation and when it comes to voting, or, you know, if you folks are doing that, and we can have a call to action in our newsletter, even though we're a completely different community, but saying, hey, these folks over in Kilkaha, they have this legislation that they've been trying to push through. It's basically falling under the same exact goal of our program. Send a letter in. Go talk to your representatives, talk to the people that you need to start helping each other really kind of say with a united voice that I think independently what we're all saying.
Well, we've done that before too, where we went to, I was just thinking about the meetings where they, the state was proposing the cesspool ban originally. And we went to the meeting,
absolutely.
And we were going to give public testimony, but then it was quite an energized room full of real estate agents.
Yeah.
So we gave written testimony instead, because it was, they were very passionate about their perspective.
But I think the research and the science, I mean, I have to say that this is what is, I mean, that was what, 3 years ago now?
A couple years ago, yeah.
And now we're 3 years later, and I think that everybody's voice is a little bit louder. There's actual research and data that backs up these, you know, they're not just claims, they're not just people thinking that they're being wronged in some kind of way, but it's legitimized. And I think that now, even when speaking, I don't know about you, but in speaking with the representatives that we've been working really closely with and working with the mayor's office, it's at the state level. I mean, people are talking about it. People are definitely talking about how bad the wastewater issue is in our state. And I think that finally, you know, even if it's a little bit of their ear, I do think that we have like their attention.
There was a lot of denial for a long time, I think. You know, like when I lived over on the Dakota side and was working construction, I went to my boss one time and I said, you know, these houses that we're building, I can't believe you're still putting cesspools in any of these houses, because all these people can afford to at least put a septic system in. You know, I mean, do you even talk to them? And he said, oh no, I can't do that. You know, and I said, just suggest it. You know, just say, you know, we're building something brand new. You know, you can read the paper, you can look at, you know, this is where we're going. Just suggest it.
Right.
And he said, no, I can't do that. You know, I said, well, why? He said, well, you know, I just don't feel like that's my, yeah. And so, you know, I mean, there's a lot of denial going in there. You know, just they want to feel like they want to feel like the cesspools were all good. You know, that was, you know, a legitimate solution.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that is with decision making, and I think this is a great idea that we all come together, you know, all together, because, you know, everybody has different issues that with the decision making on policies is going to impact different communities different ways. And I can explain our issue. Right now, Puyi Bay, right here, is the outfall that carries all the sewage for all of Hilo. So with this new legislative bill, by 2050, I think it is, everybody has, you know, with David Ige signing this bill, it means that every cesspool has to convert eventually to a system or septic tank. So which means the problems that we're already feeling right now with this sewage pipe is going to be compound, because where are they going to take everybody else's sewage? Is it going to be again carried by this community of this Puyi Bay? If we're crying help because there's something wrong with our water, and this outfall could be an indicator for high nutrients that will cause more bacteria of other species or pathogens, then there's got to be a consideration for everybody to be to this table, because it's gonna impact our community 10 times more or 50 times more. Because if they cannot carry the capacity that is, that they're doing now, can you imagine? I showed a little presentation of all the cesspools that we have just in Hilo alone that they're going to have to convert onto a system, and probably the system. So we are going to probably continue to carry this burden, and we don't want to. Kyokaha wants them to come up with alternatives. But the problem that they had in all the meetings that that we've had while talking to the Department of Environmental Manager is that, Terry, Hilo has a lot of water. So if we're going to be taking new alternatives, going through biodigesters to go and break down these pathogens, right? And then you come up with clean water, or, where are they going to take this water? That's what they're telling me now. I would rather say, it's not my problem. Why do we have to go and take care of your problem? We've been doing that for years. So, right now we're telling you, we don't want to carry this burden anymore. So, and then I got told by County Council, well, Terry, if I'm going to be bringing this up at County Council, the other communities don't want it at their place. Really? Well, we didn't have any choice. We did not have any choice. It was shoved down our throats. So now we want attention so that they realize we don't want it here anymore. So come up with an alternative.
Or improve the treatment.
Or improve the treatment.
Or improve the treatment at the plant. Because if you have a better treatment at the plant, then even though, yes, you might have an outfall, that outfall is going to have a better quality of it than what it is. I believe that plant's an R3 plant, like just a tertiary plant.
It just does solids and
it's
pathogens.
Basic. It's like super basic.
But like most of the plants in the state are pretty basic.
Yeah, and
none of them are as advanced. Like in Southern California, they can make sewage into drinking water. And so if you've ever been to San Diego, you probably had drunk sewage.
So there's a way to treat it.
There are ways to really get it clean.
It doesn't have that impact. We would like to see no discharge into the ocean, period. That would be ideal.
That would be ideal.
Is to just have no discharge going into the water. But if you are going to, then I completely agree, then there has to be some checks and balances to the quality of effluent and you're discharging into your natural waters.
And the other question was, what is it that they're treating? What chemical do they treat?
I think they chlorinate.
I do too. I think
they.
I don't even think that they have UV.
I don't know if they use. I'd have to ask.
So does that amount of chlorine or whatever they're using to treat have an impact on the marine life? Not currently, cumulatively within the decades.
I think it totally depends on what they're treatment
chlorine
is.
is one of the most abundant chemicals in seawater, so I'm not sure that the sewage chlorine would make a difference in that, because it's one of the primary salts in seawater. But I'm not sure what they use to treat it. There could be other things. I'm not sure that the chlorine would matter in the ocean water as much. I know sometimes there are pathogens that are resistant to that chlorine treatment that survive it.
Exactly. Any other questions? I'm sorry. Do you have, do you have anybody else? I can go on, so your turn.
Well, I guess I can just add just a little bit perspective of it. I guess because we have to be mindful that we are in Hawaiian homes, and a lot of our issues is sprung from that air quality and the sewage outspill that could probably even drinking it, and then that's the hardest part to hear is that we gotta come up with better practices. It's 2017. This is unacceptable to have bad practices like this, as you guys said. UV, a little bit more other materials that could be helped to digest these kind of bacteria that comes out. I'm pretty sure it's every day, because like this past summer when we came, the families who have qualified for the lots to camp, for like a couple of weeks they couldn't swim, and our families were part of it. And that was sad because some of them were swimming prior before the investigation took place. So it's like, it's almost setting us up for these failures, for these sicknesses, and it's a crime. It's basically a crime to know that these things are not manageable at this present moment, that you cannot have one person to be on the east side and one on the west. And I guess that's why the 4K pilot program is basically like a ranger program where we do help with the monitoring from the mountain to the sea. And to do these kind of efforts, it's a no-brainer. But the stress that I feel from our community, because we represent the 6 districts, it is the neglect, it is the continuing of these bad practices that keep on encroaching on our way of life. We just want a healthy life. Our blood quantum probably will never reach the full capacity of what it was designed for. And we just want to preserve what we have left. And our kupunas that continue to still live here, and our keikis that are going to run up over here. And so like she said, if I feel enough is enough, if they cannot come up with a solution, which is very proven in California and elsewhere in America, even internationally, if we cannot come up with these kind of solutions, the dude is going to be coming off somebody else's back. It's not going to be coming off of this community's back anymore, because we can't bear it going off for another generation. It's at the tip of its peak, and it's not going to be good practices to help us out. So whichever way we do go with this, we fully support of monitoring for these kind of efforts, to go and monitor these kind of things. It's our kuleana to do it, and I hope that, I know this is working out for the better of everybody coming together, and the more information that gets distributed, and leadership that helps provide these avenues. I think this is a very great project that we can move forward with and accomplish. But like you said, the legislative branch, they do what they do, and it could take forever, but we don't have that kind of time to be waiting for dialogue to come up with a short end to it. So, on the best interest of everybody, I do want to help out the general public too, but if nobody wants to help with this burden, then it should not be put on a certain community, and that's just the way I feel like things are going. So with everybody here, and leading the way, find somebody to couple and move these efforts to the best possible practices.
So I have a question about the testing, like what kind of a vial or whatever is involved, how much quantity of water do you need, or?
Well, I mean, they'll go over that during the training, but usually it's just,
I'm just curious.
it's 10 mils of water into 100 milliliters of sterile water.
I have a question to that effect too. So if we do these test kits with the Water Task Force, will you folks at the lab be able to use that to test other things as well, or only?
I think that just comes up
even
with,
if they only, track.
I think we can work that out with schedules, like, if you guys weren't if you do it once a month and you weren't actively using it and you were okay with us, I'm sure we can work something out. Or if you say like, no, these are our supplies, we're cool with that too.
So meaning like if we use more test kits, would be for other bacteria? But let me
the test kit just does enterococcus. You can get powders to also do E. coli, but that's really for freshwater. So that's the one they use for freshwaters. And like for a community-based science, I think the enterococcus is the best way to go, because the other ones become much more technical and time-consuming. I mean, it takes large chunks of time to make your own media and make your plates. And this one is very easy. You could teach high school students and college students to do it. It's not very difficult.
And at least for now, for this purpose, that's sufficient.
Yeah, no, that's what they do in Kauai right now. That's what they measure.
Where do you get the water from? Is it right in the shallows or deep? And then does it have to be refrigerated?
Or Sept?
Usually we collect it at the shoreline. This will be all part of the quality assurance plan, because we want to make sure that everybody who's collecting water samples, whether it's in Hilo or somewhere else in the state, is doing it the same exact way. And we have to do that and process the samples the same way so that the Department of Health will accept the data. So usually we go, and we had different projects. We weren't trying to evaluate water compliance like we might be doing here in Keaukaha. We were trying to look for sewage, so we would go out at the low tides when the groundwater seeps are the most pronounced, and we would sample early in the morning because sunlight can deactivate the bacteria, and so we were always trying to look for the highest possible signal. So we would go first thing in the mornings before it was really bright, so usually before, and we were usually there first thing in the morning, so collect the samples, and as soon as you get it, you have 6, and it goes on ice. Your container has to be sterile, so you can't go sneezing or spitting in your sample, those kinds of things, or sticking your fingers. It goes on ice, it goes back to the laboratory, and then within 6 hours you have to process it, and goes into an incubator, which is basically an oven, and then 24 hours later you look at these trays under an ultraviolet light, and you count how many squares are blue. And there's a table that comes with the kit that tells you what the count is for the bacteria based off of that.
So I just want to point out that this is a really good opportunity for us to kind of all collaborate. I know, with all these groups like the Keaukaha Action Network, or you, Tracy, at UH, or you guys with the Coral Reef Alliance, so many of these issues have just kind of been hushed because it's, just this scientist over here, just this group of community. But I think for maybe as a collective goal, if we use not only us and all the agencies and organizations that are involved, but also Surfrider, we can use it as a vehicle, right? Because if we start doing these tests and publicizing them and sharing them, even on the Facebook page, for instance, the more we publicly share this information, the more public support and awareness we're going to gain. Our initial budget was only for $2,500, and that's just for a very initial, I think we picked was it 8 sites or something, once a month. And that's just barely scratching the surface. So, hopefully we can build this program and continue to get involvement in the community, because that budget can grow as more people become involved, and as more people become aware of it. They're going to want to become interested, and they're going to want to help us with the volunteering and the funding of it, which is also a big part of it. But I feel like this issue right now it's kind of like squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So it would really be nice to just kind of see all these efforts come together and collaborate and put this data together. And I don't see why we shouldn't be posting the results of our tests weekly or monthly, or however often we're doing it.
I think Dr. Crowberg said they do it. They do it in the newspaper, they do it on the website, and I think they do it on the radio. So every week it goes out.
Right. And then, so like you're saying, the more people see it, then because right now there's quite a lot of us here in this room, but if this was more out there in people's discussion, there would be more interest. So just on that note, actually, if you guys,
thank you for videoing.
Yes.
Because that's how a lot of people are going to see it too.
And the state and county is trying to keep it hush.
Exactly. So we're, I don't know what type of media outlet or information sharing with Keaukaha Network or you guys have, but Surfrider is a place where we can do that. We can put it on Facebook page, we can put it on the website, we can share this information, we can share it locally with reporting agencies or the newspaper, but just get it out there. And then as we see fit, we can increase the budget, we can find more funding, we can add other bacterias to the test, we can completely grow it. Right now the initial budget is just for just to get it started, and once we get momentum and people, then we'll get a bigger movement.
I think it's important just to kind of get it started and see if you can sustain it, because it does take I'm just speaking from doing lots of student projects and stuff, you have to see if it works, right? And so
Right.
you gotta start simple, and that's why like we picked like the 8 sites that seemed like they were high use sites or sites of concern. And even though a lot of them are sites that Department of Health goes to, they don't go to them really often enough to help build a picture of what the conditions are like. And so I think it's like we have to do the initial one just to kind of see if it's something we can sustain. If it's something that's really working and we're 6 months out and it's going great, then you can start building more, but you don't want to make it so big that it burns out quickly.
Right, right.
We have people here from Puna, and Shari's from Puna, and she just said, I'll do all the testing myself.
However many you'll take, I'll go to that many beaches.
But she wanted to know about the Kona chapter.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then, because in Kona, so Kahalu gets 2 million gallons of undisinfected sewage every day, and that's one of the beaches that have been closed down. And they said there's a mile of sewage line missing on the Leighton Drive from Kahalu to Koyaho. And they're trying to put in a big timeshare at Kahalu.
I think that failed. I
No,
think that
there's
did-
another one.
It's an, oh
Next
really?
door to
It's another one?
Yeah, they just
Oh, I was
posted it
gonna
today.
say, the first
Yeah.
one, they didn't pass the
board,
EA, yeah.
The people backed out.
Yeah.
But right next door, they have another one. But however many samples you can take from Kona, I'll get them.
So just, I don't know how long, sorry to interrupt, I don't know how long everybody has to stay or who has to leave or whatever. It's 7:30, so we've been here an hour and a half. I just want to say, if anybody leaves, how can we get involved right now? If everybody wants to get on their phone and go on there, if you're on Facebook, follow or like the Hilo Surfrider page. We're hoping to be able to post updates about this project on there, and that's unless anybody else has any media outlets. But right now, what we really want to do is continue to get funding for it, right? So we've discussed a couple ways to maybe incentivize businesses who want to do that, but it's as simple as making a contribution to Surfrider, because our purpose right now for the raising of funds is specifically for this project. So if you join and you pay the $25, that means that you're basically paying for 2 water test kits. And if we empower people of Hilo and say, hey, it's not like you're just giving some money to wherever and it's ending up in New York. It's like, no, your name is going on 2 local test kits to test the water here in Hilo. We brainstormed a little about it. If there was a lot of people involved, maybe that might be a different discussion, but I'd really like to get everybody, if you haven't already, to please fill out the sign-in sheet. And then again, we are having this special for Beach in a Bag for joining our local chapter. It's $35. You get the hat, you get the bag, you become a member of Surfrider, and that money right now is specifically going to this project. So I feel if you guys have any ideas or we'd like to get this information out to Hilo and the Big Island so that people can say, hey, I want to buy 2 kits and pay $25 and get a hat and say that, you know what I mean? And then maybe we can find a way where even on social media we can incentivize donors. So let's just say, for instance, this week's tests are brought to you by so-and-so and so-and-so. Thank you for your $25 donation. Make it all visible, all transparent. We have a vehicle, we're just the wheels and the passengers, so we just gotta
So do you have the link already? Because, a lot of us already have social media access. And if you have a link that we can share, so we can encourage others to help us, support us getting this program, then, we can have. But what I wanted to have was the hands of people here tonight that really actually wanted to participate in the physical gathering of the water. What? Yay!
I was the whole island.
And, that's,
like even part of it would be hooking up like halfway to pick up Kona. So
Yeah,
Wait.
I'll drive it over because I want to learn.
Everybody
and see
raise
the
their
lab.
hands and, take a picture of who it is. Hold up. Oh no, my phone malfunctioned, sorry.
like
One
Cherie.
second. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Like Cherie, I would be willing, I even told them that, we'll have people in Kilkaha wanting to make sure that we take care of the ones in Kilkaha, but thank you guys for, so it's a matter of organizing the schedule. and then you have the hands, but
I think one of the things too that I think would be important is for Surfrider to come to UH Hilo and give a presentation at the mop,
Yeah.
in the mop room. So you need to get in touch with Jen Sims, so you can set up a date with
Yeah,
her.
I emailed her.
She didn't, has she responded?
No, not yet, but
Okay.
I should follow up. Maybe she was busy.
Has it been like a
And
long
then-
period of time?
Yes, about a week.
Okay. Be persistent, don't be shy.
I'll try to
Oh.
find her.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Erica?
And then, go ahead.
Can I ask her before she, Erica, I like your idea of the overlap. You know, I'm just doing what I do, just to bring attention to the issue so that things can be done. I don't, you know, I have lawyers, people that I get involved, but if you're already working on something, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I can support you.
She knows all about different types of sewage treatment plants.
Right, no, I'm serious. I mean, you know, because that would take a huge.
It's not what I want
You
to
know,
do.
yeah.
I'm like, it's not what I want to do.
That's
Right,
Because, you know, our issues here in Kilcon, you know, is big. And if anybody would
Absolutely.
take that to help
And-
us, by all means.
And by no means, you know, you talk of collection, and I think it's unfortunate that Hawaii has such a stigma of collecting water and treating it. And I think that, you know, we have it because we haven't quite perfected it yet. But it by no means should be put on the shoulders of one community at all. And
Yes.
what we're focusing on in Pu'oko with Clean Water for Reefs is complete removal and reuse of it, and it not going back into any groundwater source, water source of
It was
any
gonna be
kind.
used for like, plant irrigation or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I'm all for you know, contributing on a larger scale of just being able to maybe get together and talk about those changes, and help in any way that I can.
If you want to collect for North Kona, past Waikoloa, I'll meet you and then I'll bring them all over at once.
So we actually.
Don't give us too many samples.
So
Let's
just
start small. Yeah, you mean, it might be starting at, I think.
we have a project. We actually have a citizen science group that is being developed right now. We're kind of in the same development stage that you folks are in. We have our equipment, we're ready to go. We are using a model that is based off the Hui Okawaiola, which is the hui that's over on Maui. And they have actually received an approved quality assurance program already from Department of Health to be able to share water quality data. So we have gone through 2 trainings with the Pu'oko community stakeholders and in South Kohala area. And so we are currently sampling. We're starting actually the 19th, our first samples. We're sampling 6 sites. We did a site meeting today. I just came from it to kind of look at the sites that we're going to be sampling from. And these wonderful folks at UH are equally as involved in what we're trying to do over in Pu'oko. And so we are sampling up in there, but we are sampling using a different protocol than what this is.
So the bacteria method will be the same.
It's extremely similar.
The board of the Hui Okawaiola is monitoring very closely.
That is so wonderful. So I was just gonna say, so we actually, and I don't want to monopolize absolutely anything. We are working really closely with Kim Felinsky as well as Stuart, and we are talking about ways that we can like more cohesively, instead of having this kind of like divide, but more cohesively talking about how we can have this quality assured program for both of our processes, but then establishing really kind of what they have going over on Maui. What you folks have on Maui, oh my goodness, like it should be modeled in every Pacific island. It's absolutely fantastic.
And I feel like that's sort of what this is right now.
Mhm.
This is like the Hui Okawaiola, because on Maui what we did was we figured out who is doing what where, and we just got together and sat at a table and and now all the information's in one place and it's all going.
And it goes beyond this,
Right.
and that's what makes me really excited, is that this is one core group.
Yeah.
We have equally the size of a core group over in North Kona.
Yeah.
I know Holly is over in Kona with the Surfriders. She's
Yeah.
awesome. So I think there's lots of potential
Yeah.
with the Citizen Science Network and what's needed right now.
Our student can make a map,
Yeah,
so we
it's
can
so
just do a statewide map.
So
This is the beginning.
So
Yeah.
statistically,
That's
do the
So
two
one of the-
systems work out?
Say a little bit about what we, what
Well,
Can you?
the method there, the citizen science over at PUCO is gonna be measuring other things in addition to, Enterococcus. I know that the Surfrider Blue Water just does Enterococcus. For Erica's project, they got a grant to fund the other components of it. And then we're working to get the lab at Hilo certified so that the data that comes out of the lab would be accepted by Department of Health too. The lab itself can run samples too, so like if you wanted to bring samples to the lab and pay for them, they can do it. Through this, it would be, the pay for the supplies and then the personnel's pro bono with the student training and volunteers collecting samples.
So I just want to like plug in a little bit, and I mean this is awesome that we're all here, but obviously, nobody wants to hear about the financial side of it. But that's really right now is like our main goal is to raise the funds to be able to come up with this first initial test kit, right? To be able to do this. So $2,500 is our budget. How do you guys think that? I mean, like, can you guys go out there and talk to friends and say, hey, check this out? Because it's always like a sticky subject, right? It's always like, oh yeah, yeah. Post it, so make something share. Because if
Is there a way to do a GoFundMe page?
we had thought about it,
talked about it.
we've discussed that. There's obviously many different things we can do for funding. I mean, one easy thing is like, hey, if we find 100 people in Hilo that want to pay the membership of $25, there it is right there.
But on
Or-
the GoFundMe, everybody's name shows up and how much they gave, and
True.
that kind of
Makes it transparent.
yeah, and worthwhile. You see how your friends donating.
And people share it too, which is
Yeah,
good.
and GoFundMes are really trusted and easily shareable.
Yeah.
So,
So-
what I think you should do is to start the GoFundMe. We can all help you support it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll share it.
So
Share it.
go to, if you guys are on Facebook, grab your phone real quick before you forget and go on to Surfrider Hilo chapter and like that. So then if we start to assemble something like that, we can put it on there and then it can get shared through all these other outlets. But I mean, at least for now, we don't have like another hub, but we can use that.
You can use this video.
And the video. So
Where
you
is
guys
this video
watching.
going, just out of curiosity?
This is, that's what we said.
Yeah, I posted on Occupy Hawaii on Facebook, not Facebook, but on YouTube. And then I spread it all over Facebook mostly and get it around.
When the mayor was there and everybody. I have to thank Occupy Hilo. Always. We have been side by side for years. And I know that not everybody can attend meetings, but I do know they watch the video.
Yeah.
And I'm as transparent as can be because I'm not speaking for myself. It is for a voice for a larger group of people. And I would really like our legislators to understand that. And I'm going to say this on the video. Today, actually last week, my initiative to get to legislators had already started. My initiative now is to take a packet of our concerns to each legislators in the House, in the Senate, so that they can just hear about our issues and concerns and the data that I've collected. So what I do is I make appointments to meet with these legislators. My legislators are Kai Kahele, Chris Todd, and Sue Linoy. I made an appointment today with Kai Kahele, and I posted the response that I had on Hawaiian Health Community Task Force. You guys go look at what happened. So this is the thing. I couldn't even meet with him, and he's my voice. He is Kilkaha and Panaeva's voice. And I will let you guys know on this video that it is not my ka'i Nakona. Because this is not Terry Napiai's data. This is the government's data. And this is the cry out for the people that have had to be enduring all of the impacts of all of these years. So I just wanted to let the community know, the world know, that this voice is the voice of so much more, not only Terry. So you want to be able to get the right people in to carry your voice, then you choose the right people that take priority for the health and safety of our people. And today, you are here to help our people, not only on this island. Like at the beginning, I wanted Rhiannon to tell you what she does on Gila, and we will support everything you do, Surfrider. All the monies you need to get this sampling done, don't worry about it. We are all committed to make sure that this happens.
And others are too.
And others are too. I wanted to tell Rhiannon because Rhiannon's here with Water Keepers. She can explain a little bit about Hui Kawaiola on Maui. And I'm so grateful and honored to have her here, like we are with the Coral Reef Alliance with Erica and the university. But just say a brief, information about us coming together, not only in Hilo, Kona, Puna, but Maui, Kauai, Oahu, because they all have the same issues. And then she has connections to international.
Voluntary. So thank you everybody for being here, and I'll keep it brief, but I also have some cards I'll leave on the table too in case anybody wants to reach out to me. I'm working for Waterkeeper Alliance, and we're helping to get waterkeepers started throughout the islands. And so what Waterkeeper really is just a toolkit. It is for you to develop your own nonprofit. It's not that Waterkeeper dictates what you do. It's that you get to elevate your voice, like Terry said. It's not Terry Napeani's voice, it's the voice of Keaukaha, it's the voice of Hawaii Island, it's the voice of Hawaii, and all the things that are happening. Waterkeepers are for fishable, swimmable, drinkable water. Maui Nui Marine Resource Council in Maui Nui is a Waterkeeper Alliance affiliate. They are one of the anchors of Puyo Kawaiola, and all that means really is an association of people for the living waters. And I feel like we are an association of people for living waters right now. Everybody who's sitting at this table. And so what we did was we realized on Maui that water monitoring was happening. It was happening, but they weren't talking to each other. It was overlapping at times. And so what we had to do was coordinate with each other, talk to Surfrider, talk to TNC, talk to Maui Nui Marine Resource Council, so that we could get all on the same page and then go through the DOH process you mentioned, the QAP. This is what we want for Hawaii Island. We want the quality assurance program that's going to mean that the data that we gather, wherever we get it from, is like live. It becomes just as on par with any data that DOH would pull themselves from the water. So now there's not one DOH employee on the island doing water quality monitoring. There's however many dozens of us that are out there doing this. And so that's the power of really taking what we are doing and bringing it to a level of really kuleana and responsibility that the government should have. But because they don't, then here we are. And so I feel like this is the first meeting of Puyo Kawaiola on Hawaii Island. And that from here, there's a list of everybody who's here. It's just about having all the polos from these different organizations that are here today talk to each other, share your data, and then take the next step. I think TNC is a partner that's both on this island and on Maui, and so we can replicate the exact program, go through that.
TNCs are over really in West Hawaii, though they're not so much.
What's TNC?
The Nature Conservancy. And so they're helping at Pu'ako'o, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But their work's really focused on West Hawaii.
Yeah. And so they would be a partner in that sector, and then over here with the Surfrider and Hilo, and whatever groups other than these two entities that are doing water quality. I believe that Hawaii Island will have a waterkeeper organization in the future. I think that somebody has got to go after the legislature, has got to go after the county of Maui, whether they respond because of the environment, which I think they should, or because of the economy, because that's sometimes what gets people moving. I think that the water quality issues are no longer something we can ignore. And so water keepers are in 325 places in 35 countries around the world. And so when I went to the conference this past year, I was the first water keeper from Hawaii. People were so excited. And I didn't realize how much people love Hawaii. I mean, we love Hawaii. We live here, you know. But outside of Hawaii, man, people love Hawaii. And so if they knew what we were talking about in this room, they'd be horrified. They don't think this happens here, you know. And so it's only a matter of getting this data out, you know, as a waterkeeper entity, getting this data out across the alliance. Oh, our government would be in trouble. And so what we want is the rest of the world putting pressure on our government to fix the situation here in this community, in Kona, you know, and across the islands. And so there's a Waterkeeper Organization magazine here. There's some more in Maria's office. I have more I can mail to you. Waterkeeper.org is the website for Waterkeeper Alliance. And Oahu Waterkeeper, we're just getting started. Maui Nui Marine Resource Council, an affiliated Waterkeeper Alliance, has been around for almost 10 years. And so it's just a matter of action.
What kind of you don't like being an attorney, but what kind of legal oversight or resource do you provide in your capacity?
Me personally?
Yeah.
The enforcement of laws. And so the Clean Water
So
Act.
under you could help interpret regulation under all that?
Do you guys
Been
have
looking for somebody like you.
Do you guys have an environmental court in Maui?
We have an environmental court for the whole state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have here.
So they have judges in every island.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the board called the Friends of the Hawaii Environmental Court. And so we're so it's a new era to have an environmental court where judges actually understand the issues and not just shooting in the dark and making rulings that don't make sense, you know.
Well, see, and there's so much where we really try hard to interpret law because we're not attorneys and we don't have that capacity within our organization, but we very, very much so could use that right now.
Absolutely, and actually there's another organization called Lawyers for Clean Water, and they have a revolving litigation fund. So whenever you're ready, when there are clean water violations in your community, there's actually a group that funds the litigation up front because the Clean Water Act is black or white. Either the government is violating it or it isn't. So you don't have to wonder when you go into court what the outcome's going to be. If they're violating, when you go to court, you win. And under the Clean Water Act, there is a citizen suit provision which says that if you win, they get reimbursed. The person who took that case to court gets all their attorney fees back. And so there's a revolving litigation fund that pays the upfront costs, and then when you win, you reimburse the fund. And so the burden is not on the community.
Wow. Gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. Yeah. Mahalo, everyone.
May I talk about the budget? I don't know in what order this is going on or if the meeting is ending, but does anybody want to know about the breakdown of budget and what the project is? Laura, do you have anything
So you know what
to say first?
The sites too, or?
The sites too, yeah. No, okay. So like Vivian said, the budget is $2,500 to start, and this is too fuzzy to see for you guys, but this is the invoice sheet for all the supplies. So as we said earlier, Dr. Wagner at UH and Matthew Conway, they're yeah, it's too fuzzy.
Yeah, we can email it too, because if it becomes necessary, or people are interested in the real breakdown. Yeah. Because
you could have done that
just
long
again
ago.
for transparency.
Yeah, so it's like that. So we get 500 pack of the collection bags, 200 pack of the pipette, and these are like the supplies, and the whole thing comes out to $2,200, and then about $300 for printing costs and small kind of administrative costs for the first year. And what this covers, this number of test kits covers, is twice a month, 8 sites. So the 8 sites for here, the 8 sites. So this is more than 8 sites. So what we picked, Auntie Terry went to Matthew and were you there too, Dr. Wagner?
No, I kind of met separately with
Okay,
Matt.
so they came up with this list and we narrowed it down to 8. And it's the first 7 plus the last one that we picked. So we have picked the sites, we have the cost breakdown, and all we need is a fundraising. And we can actually get started because yeah, Dr. Berg is fronting the cost, so we can reimburse him later.
So we can start.
Yeah, we can start like pretty much now.
He didn't give a specific date, but I got the
volunteer.
feeling. I got the feeling that he said he's willing to come on vacation in Hilo to test, to train.
I think everybody would like to do the training. I want to do it.
I think before that
set
we
up
need
the
to
email.
have the meeting at UH Hilo and kind of,
Coordinate.
I think we need to figure out like who's,
How
what students, what community members want to be involved with that
Okay.
specific thing before we set a date with them.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. This
Nice.
is now.
So it'll be on the webpage, on your group?
We can do
Yeah,
that,
we
and
can
also
share it on
if people did sign up with an email, we can compile once the details are more solidified with that, because prior to that, maybe you don't need the information, but once that's solidified, it will go out as a call out.
I'll give $25 tonight.
Yay!
One kid.
One kid.
Oh,
Two
two
kids.
kids.
Yeah,
Two
awesome.
kids, yeah.
I'll do that.
Yay.
Hallelujah, everybody. Anybody else have anything to say before we close?
Thank you.
Love, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. I just wanted to mahalo all you guys in your professional and your individual capacities. From my perspective, there seems to be a lot of different, hats basically. So, one suggestion, is just try to consolidate to some extent, right? Make an alliance or coalition that allows for everybody to continue to work in their capacities, but keeps everything under the hood a little bit. So we can all put out things under the same alliance or coalition. And also, like you guys are saying, just basically build water advocates from the ground up. And I think I really like the direction that we're working. Let's get to action, let's get to testing, and get people engaged like that.
And then just to plug into that, that's where we also need help on the board, right, with Surfrider, because like you're saying, that can all fall under that umbrella. So for instance, like if Tracy or and Terry are helping with the coordinate, there's actually a position on the board, volunteer coordinator. So at some point, like you said, there's all these hats, but at some point it's going to get more specific, and then certain people will have certain roles. So like just say for instance, maybe the students are reporting into Matt, or Tracy and volunteers are over here, and data's coming over here, and the website, you know what I mean? So at some point, like you're saying, but just to chime into that, that's where we want to encourage people to not just involve themselves as volunteers or whatever organization they're in, but to join Hilo Surfrider. Because, right, to be part of that umbrella, because that, right now, like you're saying, that's kind of like the umbrella. We have all these great people collaborating together, and if we can just make that a hub, and anybody who wants to do more than just maybe volunteer occasionally to do some tests and take on some of this stuff and become part of the chapter, that's really what we would like to encourage, is people to become active.
So were you suggesting that the coalition
Yeah, well,
be
just
under...
because, I respect all your guys' work, but there's also, the Coral Reef guys, the UH, there's the Water Keepers, right? There's even us, we have our own nonprofits. But just, something that's gonna, like the coalition, right? Like Hawaii Island.
How could we start the Hui Okamai?
Right. Just like that. Something that's more loose-based, but there's still, underneath that, there's all this specific action happening. Cool, you guys got covered over here.
and
It's easier to share.
called it
Just
already.
water.
Yeah,
All the
let's do
water
it.
stuff, share it through there.
when we first started, Coral Coral Reef Alliance, the university, Yokaha Action Network, and Surfrider, we were thinking about coming up with a name. And Damon, I understand that, Surfrider is taking the Juliana of the water sampling, but I understand that it's, even waterkeepers. Everybody has something to the table, so I think what Locke is saying, like she was mentioning, is that coalition, because we're gonna still have to organize to come together as a coalition, because everybody has something to the table. The expertise of the university, the SOAR of our community, the expertise of people that are actually having different chapters, because we have water keepers, we have Surfrider chapter. Surfrider is here today because they have been coming to my meetings and showed interest and really actually wanted to help me. And Dr. Carl Berg has been helping me understand the readings. In order for me to collect, I also had to understand the readings. And he was the one that actually taught me how to read the readings that I was collecting from county as well as the state, DOH. So, I mahalo thee, but I really like the idea of the coalition because everybody has their something to the table. So, I would like to ask that.
It's easier to join for a bunch of different guys that might not want to get into the 501c3 or whatever have you. But I really, it's just a way that we can all couple each other too, because I really appreciate. A page of a hub for everybody who feels like a water protector.
I would like to come up with a name of that. I mean, I think that's important, and I'll be the one that brings everybody together in this board. I mean, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
To bring everybody to the meetings that would collaborate all of us together as we detail this, because I also wanted to get together with the replenishment project, which is going to be being talked about at my next meeting about replenishment for Pui Bay, which involves DAR, Department of Aquatic Resources, which is going to involve Coral Reef Alliance, because of what does the replenishment means? It means reviving coral, which has a lot to do with more fish, more ilimo ele, which all of this is yet another project. And I like the idea of coalition, so I'd be willing with others, to be able to have that organized together. Can you tell me a little bit about your hui so that we understand a little bit about that? Don't worry. Yes, Nancy, thank you. No, that's okay. We're almost done.
And I wanted to say thank you, Auntie Terry, for getting all of us together.